Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 9 review. I'm going to make 3 different videos for this because it is 3 different pages. So here is video number 1. Question number 1 says, which of the following relations are functions? List all that apply. So remember, when we're talking about functions, we want to know, does it pass the vertical line test? Okay, and the vertical line test means all you have to do is at any point, you get to draw a vertical line. And if it hits only once, it passes. Now remember, you want to try to find a place where it touches twice. You're trying to make these fail. So far, A and B, I can't make it fail. Okay, C might be like, Mr. Grice, it passes right there. Be like, okay, well, guess what? It fails right there, and it fails 3 times. So I know for a fact that C is not a function. What about D? Well, it only touches once there, but if I draw it right here, it touches it touches a ton of times. So D is not a function. The only 2 that are functions are A and B. Okay. Number 2 says identify the type of function if it's linear, quadratic, or exponential, as well as its domain and range. So, number 2, what type of graph is that? You should know that right away. Okay, this is a quadratic. What's the domain? Okay, remember the domain is talking about horizontal from left to right. Do you see any limits on that? Okay, no, there's no limits, which means that x can be all real numbers. All right, and the next thing we need to think about is the range. So, is there a limit to how low the graph goes? No. Is there a limit to how high it goes? Well, yeah, I can see that it doesn't go higher than that point right there. And what is that? That is 6. So y has to be less than or equal to 6. Number 3. What type of graph is that? Okay, that's an exponential. What's the domain on an exponential graph? Do you see any limits going horizontally from left to right? Nope. All real numbers. What about the range? Well, it's gonna keep going up, that's for sure. But it looks like it gets close, it gets close, it gets close, but I don't think, does it ever touch 0? No, it doesn't. So what that tells me is that the range, that y has to be greater than 0. It's not equal to because it never touches. Okay, number 4. What type of graph is that? Okay, number 4 is a linear. Do you see any limits on the domain? Nope, that's all real numbers. And what about the range? Nope, those arrows keep going on forever and ever, so the range is all real numbers as well. Okay, all right, let's move on down. Next part says to perform the indicated operation for the given function. So check it, we have the f, we have function g, and then h. So our first question, number 5, says we want f of -2. So that means that we are going to plug in -2 and see what we get. So f of -2, I'm plugging in -2 to all of those. Now you can plug it into your calculator or you can do it step by step. -2 squared is -2 times 2, which is +4. -5 times -2 is a +10. And then we're left with 6. And I can add all of those up super fast and get 20. So just remember that we write our answer of f of -2 equals 20. Okay, number 6, they're calling us g of x minus h of x. So when we're plugging this in, we need to start with parentheses. So we got -3x plus -3x squared plus 7, and we're subtracting the -5x minus 2. Now, to get rid of the parentheses, we need to distribute. In front of the -3x squared plus 7, there's no real numbers there. It's a +1, and when we multiply by +1, it stays the same. But in the back, when we've got subtraction, we're multiplying by a -1. And when we multiply by a -1, the only thing that changes are the signs. So a negative times a negative would make that a positive 5x. A negative times a negative would make that a positive 2. Okay, and the last thing to do would be to combine your like terms. The only like terms that we have are the 7 and the 2, and then we're going to write that all in standard form. Good, so the highest exponent goes first, the -3x squared plus 5x plus 9. Okay, number 7. Number 7, we're using those same two functions, g of x and h of x, but this time we're multiplying. Okay, so we're multiplying the -3x squared plus 7, and we're timesing that to the -5x minus 2. Okay, you can use box method or you can distribute, whichever way you want. Okay, so -3x squared times -5x, a negative times a negative is a positive, and then I'm going to add the exponents. Okay, -3x squared times -2, a negative times a negative is a positive, 3 times 2 is 6, x squared. Okay, 7 times -5 is -35x. And then 7 times -2 is -14. Do we have any like terms? No. So then our final answer is 15x cubed plus 6x squared minus 35x minus 14. Okay, and the last one, once again, we're multiplying and we're multiplying g of x, but this time we're multiplying the g of x by -3. Okay, so the -3 goes on the outside, and then we have -3x squared plus 7. And all we're going to do is distribute, so make sure that you multiply each one of those by -3. Why don't you guys take a second and try it on your own? You guys should have gotten 9x squared minus 21. Now, if you have any questions on this, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. Otherwise, you can go ahead and start video number 2 whenever you're ready. That'll be on the second page. This is Mr. Grice, signing off. Thanks for watching.